Hi everyone and welcome back to Maths and Physics with Mr. Simons. Today's lesson we're looking at rules of differentiation under calculus. We're looking at the first variation of 6 variations. Here's the basics where we give you simplified equations to find the first derivative of. Right? So determining first derivative using rules of differentiation. From previous lessons, much just refreshing, the process of determining the expression for dy over dx is called differentiation. What's read, differentiate y with respect to x, that is called differentiation. And dy dx is termed the differential coefficient of y with respect to x. So there I'm finding the differential coefficient of y with respect to x. Alright. Thus, dy over dx is read as we're differentiating y with respect to x. Or we're finding the differential coefficient of y with respect to x. Now let's look at the rules of differentiation. Right, general rule, also sometimes referred to as the power rule. If we have an equation, f of x equal ax to the power n, and n there is an element of real numbers, then to find the first derivative written as f prime x, we would say n times a. We always subtract 1 from n minus 1. Right, so that is how we use rules of differentiation. Exponent gets multiplied with a coefficient. We always subtract 1 from the coefficient if we're differentiating. Right, example, if I had f of x equal x to the power 3, then f prime x would become 3 times 1, which gives me 3, and 3 minus 1, which gives me 2. So that becomes 3x squared. Right? Number 2, if we have f of x and we have a constant, then the first derivative of any constant will always equal 0. So example, if I said you have to differentiate the equation where f of x equal 38, or y equal 38, then dy over dx of 38 would equal 0, or f prime x equal 0. But the other notations we'll get used to once I start doing the problems. This is just a quick introduction. Alright, then if we have to differentiate x, where we're given two equations, so f of x, or two terms, plus minus g of x, I can differentiate f of x separate and g of x separate. Plus minus, so example of that, if we had to differentiate x, in brackets 3x to the power 8 plus 4x5, that's 8 times 3, which is 24, 8 minus 1, which is 7, so that gives me 24x7, plus this plus, 5 times 4 is 20, 5 minus 1 gives me 4. Alright, so later on in university, you'll do implicit and explicit differentiations. Here we're just working basically. Alright, next problem, if we differentiate and we have a constant times f of x, right, then we can say the constant times the derivative of whatever we have for f of x. So if we say f of x equal, you see my constant there, it's a coefficient of 8, and f of x is x squared. So first derivative simply becomes 2 times 1, which is 2, so it becomes 8 times 2, and then 2 minus 1, which then gives me 16x. So it's about the same as just saying 2 times 8. So those are the basics. Now let's look at the problems. Right? Or before we look at the problems, very important. A lot of our problems, and this is our fourth variation, surds is compulsory, so I need to remember that if I'm giving a surd here, fourth root, x5, the exponent inside will always go on top, and the exponent on outside will always go at the bottom. The fourth root of x5 then simply becomes as a rational exponent, x to the power 5 over 4. Right? You need to know that. You'll see when I get to the fourth variation, compulsory exam question, this will be tested. Right? So three notations we commonly use to find the derivative, f prime x, or dy over dx, or dx. Alright? So first problem, given simplified equation. So when I say simplified, we can go straight and derivative. What? Find the first derivative. Find the first derivative given the equation. So number one, they said f of x equal minus 3x 10. Alright, so finding the derivative of the following, we're just going to say 10 times minus 3, 10 minus 1. So there you see 10 times negative 3, 10 minus 1, and that gives me negative 30. X 10 minus 1, 9. Negative 30, x 9. In exam, you would get 1 mark. You don't need to show the step. I'm just putting that in so that you get used to how we do it. Let's look at the second problem. Alright, they gave dx, x 5 over 2. Right, so when I differentiate, dx falls away, right? So there, 5 over 2 times 1, which is 5 over 2. 5 over 2 minus 1 become 3 over 2. So my answer 5 over 2, x 3 over 2. Look at the third problem. D dx, 4x negative 2. So straight, because I can differentiate, I can drop d dx. So negative 2 times 4, negative 2 minus 1. Right? So negative 2 times 4, negative 2 minus 1. So that gives me negative 8x minus 3, right? So I hope you follow and you see how we've simplified. Another 1 mark. This is just basics, but we need to understand the process. So if you take the time to follow and learn these basics, the rest will become easier as we go along. Right? In exam, although we don't ask it no more, from grade 11, you should remember we always said no, we want a positive exponent as a final answer. So to make x negative 3 positive, I would take it to the bottom. It becomes x positive 3 and negative 8 stays on top. Alright, my fourth problem here. Evaluate dy dx if y equal x negative 3 plus 5x4 minus x over 3. Right, so minus 3, I have 1x minus 3 plus 5x4. And there that is 1 over 3 x to the power 1. So that's a third. Right, I might just put it to the front so that we don't get confused when you have to multiply the exponents. So right, so as it is there, I can find the derivative. So from there, minus 3 times 1, minus 3 minus 1. 4 times 5, 4 minus 1. 1 times the third, 1 minus 1. So that would give me negative 3, x negative 4, 20, x 3, negative a third, and that x would fall away. Anything to the power 0 is 1. Alright, so I have minus 3, x negative 4, plus 20, x 3, minus 1 over 3, x 0. So 1 mark for minus 3x negative 4, another mark for 20x cubed, and another mark for minus a third. That's how we would give the x0, as I said, would fall away. So, as a general rule, we do not have negative exponents as a final answer, and should know anything to the power 0 is 1. Alright, so in exams now we stop and we mark till there, but in olden days we had to write that as a positive exponent. So we stick to the basic rules. That would become minus 3 over x to the power 4 plus 20x cubed minus a third. Don't need to write that, but you need to understand that we actually want our final answers as positive exponents. Right? Given f of x equal to x cubed minus 6x squared plus 3, we find the first derivative, 3 times 2, 3 minus 1. 2 times negative 6, 2 minus 1. And a constant always becomes 0. So that would give me 6x squared minus 12x. So there's 6x squared minus 12x. Right, and that is finding the first derivative given a simplified equation that we can derive straight. But remember, in exams things are not that straightforward. So in the next video we're looking at the second variation. God bless. Bye.